Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to do something a little different and share a recipe video with you guys. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, and if you're not, you totally should, you know that I share my nightly dinners or as I'm preparing them with everybody, and I get a ton of questions of where I come up with my recipes or questions about the recipes themselves, so I wanted to start introducing some of those videos onto my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be making what I call a German pork tenderloin, medallions in a mushroom sauce with some egg noodles on the side. So without much further ado, let's get to cooking. So before we can get to cooking, we need to go over our ingredients. So we're going to start off with some pork tenderloin. I actually was able to pick this up on sale, and I just had my local butcher cut it right down the middle. Along with that, we're going to need some ribbon egg noodles. I was actually able to pick this up at Aldi by making a trip an hour away to the next town. Don't worry, I was going there already. But these are just a really great softer noodle option for this dish. In addition to that, you're also going to need some cans of cream of mushroom sauce. That's what's going to help us make, the base of our mushroomy sauce. And we're going to need 2 of those for this particular recipe. To add a little extra seasoning, we're going to use a salt and pepper, and I prefer to use the pink Himalayan salt. In addition to the cream of mushroom soup, we're going to be using some milk to make our sauce, so we need a little bit of that. And to top off our dish, we are just going to use a little bit of mozzarella cheese. This is cheese that was previously frozen. I just pulled it out of my freezer and let it thaw while I'm cooking, and then just sprinkle it on top. It'll be fine when we put it in the oven, so there's that. And because this is a pretty rich dinner with noodles and the sauce, I want to add some veggies to lighten things up a little bit, so we're using some asparagus for that. So as soon as we have all of our ingredients together, we're going to make sure to preheat our oven to 400 degrees, and that'll just make sure that the oven is ready to go when we are. And after that, we cut up the pork tenderloin. I hope you guys have been enjoying this video of me trying to cut through my tenderloin. To be honest with you, I don't have the best quality of knives. They're actually really cheap, maybe $30 up from Walmart, and they're about 5 years old, so it's definitely time to replace them. But I had made do with what I had, so I just used my bread knife, my serrated bread knife, to cut through my tenderloin, and my kitchen shears to cut through just the tiny layer of fat that was on the bottom. As mom, you just gotta make it work. So once you've got your tenderloin all cut up, and I hope the process was a lot easier for you than it was for me, you're just going to make sure to season your tenderloin with salt and pepper. So to a high-heated skillet, I'm just going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and bring the heat up to medium-high, and then I'm going to gently place my pieces of tenderloin into my pan. As you can tell, I was having a little bit of issues because my dish is kind of rounded, but just be gentle. You want to make sure none of that hot oil splatters up on you. I had that happen to me yesterday. Not fun. And just as we did before, we want to make sure to season the other side with some salt and pepper. So while our tenderloins are browning, we are going to make sure to put on a sauce pot on medium to low heat, and we are just going to add a 1/4 cup of our milk, as well as both cans of our cream of mushroom soup. This will get our sauce going. I make sure to add a little bit of additional seasoning with a little bit of salt and pepper, but that's just to taste. Once I've got my milk, my soup, and my seasoning in my pot, and it's all mixed in and incorporated well, I make sure to drop the heat down to low simmer and just let it continue to cook as my tenderloins are browning. That's just so that my sauce can get a really nice creamy consistency, so when I pour it on top of my tenderloins, it's just perfect. Also, when it comes to the tenderloins, I want to make sure that I brown both sides. So halfway through, I'm going to flip them over and make sure that they're getting a nice golden crust on each side. Once I have removed my lid and seen that all the liquid evaporates from my pork tenderloins and they're nice and brown on both sides, I'm going to take them off the heat and start putting them into a baking dish, arranging them as close together as I can get. I actually really enjoy this part because I'm a weirdo and it's like my own little puzzle, just to make sure that I get them close together so that when I go to cover them with the sauce, I can cover things as evenly as possible. I'm going to remove my sauce off the stove and just ladle it onto my tenderloins. I'm going to make sure to spread it, like I said before, as evenly as possible and get it all into all those nooks and crannies and crevices, just to make sure that every last bit of the tenderloin is covered up before I go ahead and add the cheese on top of that mixture. My husband is a huge cheese fan, so adding the mozzarella on top definitely makes him happy, and it helps produce this beautiful golden crust on the top once everything is all nice and baked. And once I'm ready to bake, I'm going to go ahead and pop my tenderloins into the oven, 400 degrees for 25 minutes. So while the tenderloins are baking away, I make sure to get my pasta and my side veggie going. And I do that because nothing tastes better than when all these things are finished at the right time and everything is just nice and freshly incorporated to one another. So once my asparagus is washed and cut up, I make sure to sprinkle it with some Lori seasoning salt. It makes for a great taste and my boys just can't get enough. I then make sure to add my asparagus into, again, my saute pan with a little bit of olive oil and add a little extra seasoning if I feel like they make it, and just cook it down until it's perfect. So once my water has reached the boiling point, I make sure to add my package of egg noodles to the water and cook for about 6 minutes, or as directed on the packaging. I have previously mentioned this, but I like cooking my egg noodles kind of last, just so that they're ready to go as soon as my main dish, the tenderloins, are ready to go. And that's because egg noodles can get kind of a weird gummy consistency if you overcook them or undercook them, so it's best to just cook them as close to when the tenderloins are going to come out of the oven. So when the timer sounds, it's time to pull our tenderloins out of the oven, and admittedly this is maybe a little crispier than normal, but still delicious nonetheless. So after that, I'm just going to make sure that my pasta, which is just finished, is checked, and then it comes off the heat and we're ready to go. And voila, the finished plate. I just make sure to serve the tenderloin and the sauce, scoop it out, lay it on top of the noodles, serve it with some asparagus and some fresh strawberries, and there we go. Bon appetit! Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!